all of us in this room have one message to Joe Biden. It is time to put America first.
So there's regular cruel, and then there is producer cutting to the audience reaction shot with all of 9 people in it, cruel. This is Kimberly Guilfoyle not only utterly humiliating herself, but also being utterly humiliated by the CPAC producers with the most pathetic audience shot you could possibly find. And even the few people who did manage to meander into that room didn't exactly look like they were at a Taylor Swift concert. But hey, I'm sure Sean Spicer will be coming to the podium any second now to tell us that it was the largest CPAC audience in history, period. If you're not up on your grifter conventions, CPAC is the annual event where the extreme MAGA personalities all converge in one convention center to spout their nonsense talking points to each other and do things like this.
And I want to make sure that you guys know about Gold Code. Don Jr.'s been talking about it. Gold and silver can protect your retirement savings from inflation and dollar devaluation. And owning tangible, physical, inflation hedging gold and silver can help diversify your portfolio. You've got to have a diversified portfolio. Everybody knows that. And Gold Co has helped thousands of Americans diversify and protect their retirement savings. Support companies who support you. It makes sense, doesn't it? Instead of supporting woke companies who hate you and use your money to further their political agenda. So go to Kim's Metals, it's kind of catchy, .com to learn more. That's kimsmetals.com.
It's like if a Nigerian prince email scam came to life. CPAC is run by a guy named Matt Schlapp, who was just accused by a male Herschel Walker campaign staffer of sexual assault, an accusation that Schlapp is refusing to acknowledge. And Schlapp started off CPAC by introducing Jim Jordan, a former Ohio State University wrestling coach who himself was accused by 6 former wrestlers of knowing and staying silent about a doctor who abused at least 177 male students. In other words, 2 men whose respective biggest claims to fame are their involvement with sexual assault scandals against young men, because family values or something.
There's a lot of chatter in the media about who's here and not here. I'm really proud to be standing alongside someone I think might just be the most powerful man in Washington, D.C. Yeah.
Although I guess Schlapp calling Jim Jordan the most powerful man in Washington, D.C. kind of makes sense when you factor in Schlapp's priority of ignoring sexual assault. Not to be outdone, Lauren Boebert was asked at a CPAC panel who she thinks should be Trump's running mate in 2024, and her answer is exactly as dumb as you think it is.
A lot of people have been trying to speculate who Trump might pick as his VP pick this time. Likely not going to be Mike Pence, and I don't think he's able to choose Ron DeSantis if they're from the same state.
Correct.
Is there a name that you've been thinking that could be a very good pick for his vice president?
Well, see, the best candidate that I think for a vice president to President Trump actually is another Florida resident. So maybe President Trump needs to solve all of our problems and refile his candidacy from New Jersey or something in Bedminster or New York. But I think Congressman Matt Gaetz would be a fantastic VP. This man is intelligent. He knows the issues domestically and foreign. And they work very well together. I've seen the 2 of them interact, and I think that would be a fantastic VP pick.
Because nothing quite says electability like the guy who spent the last year under federal investigation for child sex trafficking. Although, in his defense, that would probably be to Gaetz's benefit in the Republican Party. Now, as you can probably tell, this entire convention is one big echo chamber of insanity and stupidity and grifting, but one thing that's actually managed to stand out is the self-victimization. I mean, seriously, every other sentence out of these people's mouths is how their entire way of life is under attack by the woke left and how they're simply trying to mind their own business, but they can't because their gas stoves could vanish at any moment and Hershey's made a chocolate bar wrapper that they don't like. Remember when Republicans promised to focus on inflation? Yeah, me too. In fact, remember a couple of years ago when the whole Fox News fixation was how Democrats were snowflakes who wanted a safe space? Well, now they are literally calling for their own safe spaces.
We are so extreme and so far apart that it's come to a place where we need to have a real conversation of, you know what, we all need our own safe space. Do you feel that way? Yeah. From the left and their ideas and their policies we respected them for a long time, but now they're like bullies and they will not leave us alone.
So in other words, they ended up doing the exact thing that they accused the other side of doing, because it is always, without fail, projection. But it wasn't only stupidity on display. The GOP's proclivity for authoritarianism also reared its head, with Matt Gaetz calling for the abolition of the FBI, DOJ, CDC, and other federal agencies.
We either get this government back on our side or we defund and get rid of, abolish the FBI, CDC, ATF, DOJ, every last one of them if they do not come to heel.
So Gaetz is admitting that his party's entire goal is to weaponize the federal government to benefit themselves and punish their political opponents. When he says, get the government back on our side, that is exactly what he's saying. So whenever Republicans accuse the DOJ of being partisan for not treating Donald Trump like he's above the law, what they're really saying is they want control of the government to weaponize it and let their own people break the law without any accountability. Law and order means everyone but Republicans. Marjorie Taylor Greene also tried her hand at spouting literal pro-Putin propaganda while the audience cheered for the guy who just bombed a children's hospital and a maternity ward.
No money to Ukraine, and that country needs to find peace, not war. And while I will look at a camera and directly tell Zelensky, you better leave your hands off of our sons and daughters because they're not dying over there.
And to be clear, Greene is lying here. Zelensky did not say that American troops should go to Ukraine to fight. This is just the latest right-wing talking point based off of an edited video where Zelensky is warning about what could happen if Russia attacks a NATO country after Ukraine. And I'll say this slowly so that Marjorie Taylor Greene can grasp it. The entire point of standing with Ukraine now and not letting this war languish is so that we don't have to send American troops and spend trillions of dollars on some world war in the future if a NATO country is attacked. But I guess her affection for authoritarianism can get in the way of logic. I will say, though, there were a couple little nuggets of truth here and there. There was one moment where Steve Bannon actually had a fleeting moment of honesty. Here he is going after Fox News for the new deposition documents in their lawsuit with Dominion, where they admit that they were knowingly lying to their viewers.
Talk about the geopolitical. If you had respect for people, wouldn't you do that? They don't respect you. Read the depositions. The deposition, they have a fear, a loathing, and contempt for you. And you're the ones that can make changes.
And Mike Pompeo, too, with a brief moment of clarity. Here he is admitting what Democrats have been saying for years now, that Republicans are the ones who add to the debt while claiming to be the party of fiscal responsibility.
You know, I stare today at $31 trillion in debt and tell my son, make sure you work hard because Social Security may just not be there for you. Every recent administration, Republican and Democrat alike, added trillions in dollars to our debt. That is deeply unconservative. Trump administration, the administration I served, added $8 trillion in new debt. This is indecent and can't continue.
Funny how you can get these nuggets of honesty when it aligns with certain Republicans' personal interest to tell the truth. It's almost like they're aware that they're lying and yet make the conscious decision to do it anyway. So I'll end with this. CPAC has always been a hub for weird and crazy speeches, but this year was a perfect microcosm of how the MAGA movement has gone off the deep end. This is a party that is going after our earned benefits, banning books, spreading insane conspiracy theories, and in fact, Republican South Carolina just introduced a bill that would enable executing women if they have an abortion. So while there's a lot to laugh at with these kind of events, it's also a reminder of just how important it is to stay involved and to pay attention to what's going on. Because this isn't just some innocent circus. These are people with power. They control the House, they control the Supreme Court, they control a number of states, and they are hell-bent on taking control of the entire federal government. This is not a problem that can be solved by just looking away and hoping it disappears. We have to expose and highlight their extremism. Although, to be fair, they're doing a pretty good job of that all by themselves. Before you go, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. You can click the thumbnail right here on this screen. And if you want to support my work even further, the best way is to subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. There you can check out my interviews with major players in the world of politics, including President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, Katie Porter, Jamie Raskin, and so many more. Plus other interviews that live exclusively on the podcast. That link is also right here on this screen, or just search No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen wherever you listen to podcasts.